What's going on, guys? BMP here. We're back, and we're back in a big way. We're not going anywhere this time. We're here to stay, and we're coming out swinging because we have a whole list of movies. Um, and we're starting off this time with something very special. You see, I know 2020 has been a very rough year, and to add on to that negativity is the fact that we haven't had a Marvel movie this year. I know it's crazy. But, Black Widow got pushed all the way to November now, and everything after that's getting delayed multiple years possibly. So we decided our gift to you for our comeback is to bring you Avengers of Justice, Farce Wars. That's right. That's right. Triple A blockbuster right here. So joining us today and for the future is Christopher, my brother.
Oh
Let's give him
yeah!
a round of applause.
Woo!
Thank you.
He
Thank
is
you.
he is ready and committed to joining the crew of BMP. So we welcome you. Hi.
Honestly, if all of the other movies are just as shit as this movie, then we're in for a rough time then. And I don't know.
It was great.
This movie's. I'm feeling like this movie's gonna be like top of the shit. Like just at the shit.
Well,
But
let's
we'll
not
get to
spoil
it.
anything. Let's jump
Yeah,
into
we'll
it.
get to it.
You want to do the honors and start us off?
Of course. So, we start this movie off, and we're introduced to one of two main baddies of this movie, the Dark Jokester. And he's just sleeping in something in space, maybe? I don't know. They didn't really explain it.
Well, yeah,
And
he was in
it
a
looks-
spaceship.
It was at a spaceship, and it looks really bad. It looks really bad.
So bad that this was our background.
It literally looked like he wasn't even moving. The background was just moving, and he was just
Yeah, it
stationary.
was one of those old time like rolly backgrounds.
Here you go. Here goes the background. Get ready.
Yeah, it was bad.
The movie follows Bruce Kent. Oh, you heard that right. Bruce Kent, otherwise
That's me.
known as that's him, otherwise known as Superbat, and he's now retired. The movie did something. They did a scroll, Star Wars style, at the beginning of the movie, and as goofy and ridiculous as the movie is, it kind of touched upon something that's very obvious, but they never really touch upon in real movies. Is that because Superbat used to fight his, the supervillains, they caused a lot of damage, billions of dollars in damage, and they actually held him liable for that. So, he lost his big fortune because he was supposed to have a fortune like Bruce Wayne. He lost his big fortune, and now he's retired. He lives with his wife and two kids, and his powers are starting to fade. He's not as strong as he used to be. He lost some of his abilities. And he's actually played by Steve Ranazizi. He actually played Kevin from The League. If you guys ever watched League, great show. Go check that out. So he plays the main character. His wife is Amy Smart. That's what surprised me about this movie is that, I didn't expect to see so many well-established actors and actresses in this movie, like Steve Ranazizi, Amy Smart, Simon Rex.
Tony Caballero.
Yes, and also,
Don't say
of
it.
course,
Don't
right
say it.
on the front cover. Come on, he's right there on the front cover. Shawn
Don't
Michaels.
say it. Oh. Oh.
But I was surprised to see so many like well-established people in this movie. But yeah, so that's the point of the movie, and then Dark Jokester. I want to say lands because at first
Maybe.
it shows like his ship is gonna like just crash into the planet, but they never show any of that. And the first thing he does when he lands is goes to Lispcorp.
CGI. I mean,
No, Lispcorp.
I thought you were going to say bad CGI.
To team up with Lisp Luthor. To do.
That's right. You heard him right.
Yep. To do something because it's like they work together, but they never really showed how their plans like melded together to actually warrant a team up.
I don't think they did because we find out like pretty much right at the start that Lisp Luthor wants to like use this machine to take the energy from the sun to melt the ice and cause an ice age, a second one. And the Dark Jokester's kind of just there to be a prick. And that's really it. We don't really know what his plot is at all. I still don't know it.
I don't know what anybody's real plot was, though. They all just were like, yeah, we're bad guys and we joined forces and we're good to go.
Well, when they did meet up, Lex Luthor came up with a plan, or was it Dark Jokester?
Who knows?
I don't remember. I think it was Lex Luthor to kidnap Bruce Kent's son, Lucas, because he's a twin, him and his sister, Rhea. She has already formed her powers and hers are getting stronger, but he hasn't formed any powers yet. So Luthor's plan is to kidnap him and then put him in some kind of chamber to use his dormant power to create super soldiers or super enhanced henchmen. So their first order of business is, of course, to go to the twins' 17th birthday party. And a bunch of other superheroes are there too, and apparently they're all kind of either retired, semi-retired. They never really touch upon it, but we get some goodies there, like
And
Thor Baka,
Oy. El Captain South America.
South America, yes, and
God.
Spider Cat.
Spider Cat.
So they're having this party for the two of them, right? And Rhea pushes Lucas into a pool, which sets up a
The
very
worst-
painful part of the movie.
The worst fight video game scene I have ever seen. They had literally a health bar across the top, and it said Rhea versus Lucas in Mortal
It was-
Kombat style.
It was bad.
The son's annoyed. He runs off into the garage where, what do you know, his father's car is there. So he goes in his father's car. And who shows up right next to him in the car and tries to convince him to join them is Lex Luthor. And Lex Luthor goes, you should take your father's car. I have the keys.
You know, something just dawned on me just now. You brought up a good point. Lex Luthor had the keys, right?
Right.
But the son was in the car already.
This
Which
is
means-
also a good point.
That is a good
He
point.
didn't- He wouldn't he had to unlock the car to get into the car? I mean, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
I didn't even think about that.
That
One
one.
just
thing-
dawned on me now.
One thing you have to understand, now that you're going to do these reviews with us, is with movies like this, just stay right here. Stay at the surface level of ideas and concepts in these movies. Okay? Just right here. Just stay right at the surface level.
The
'Cause
second I
you
start
go
to dip
under,
above it,
that's it.
or under, the second I go into it,
Yeah,
I'm done.
that's it.
I'm already looking dumber than the movie
Yeah, don't
does
dig.
because I'm thinking about it. So
Don't dig.
So he convinces Lucas to take the car, and that pretty much means they were successful in kidnapping him, but he kind of went willingly.
it was willing. It
Yeah,
was
and
willing.
throughout the rest of the movie, he's pretty willing to do whatever they wanted him to do. Like, he pretty much teamed up with them, like he didn't care. And then Rhea decides to go after Lucas herself. So now both kids are practically missing, and Bruce Kent's wife, Jean Wonder, who's played by Amy Smart, tells him that he has to save them. But he's kind of like, oh, they'll come back. They'll come back eventually, whatever. But what happens is Dark Jokester uses the naughty side of the Farce for his power. So she tells Superbat that he has to embrace the nice side of the Farce, and she just happens to know somebody in their city who can help. And who is that?
Oh God.
That guy right there, Master
Oh, no.
Yoga,
Oh no.
played
it's-
by Shawn Michaels.
Look what they did to my boy. Shawn Michaels is Master Yoga, who's literally just covered in green body paint, which might I add, okay? We're introduced to him. He's in full body paint. His arms are good. His neck, his head, his feet, he's all green. As we continue to go through the movie, his body paint comes off more and more that if he lived any longer than he did in this movie, he would wind up just playing Shawn Michaels in the movie, just HBK.
It was almost like they filmed the whole movie in one day, and his body paint just naturally started wearing off, and they just left it that way. Except for his final scene in the movie later on, which we'll get to, where he's suddenly like super green again, as if it was the first day of filming. And one thing I noticed, a lot of scenes, especially early on in the movie with Jean Wonder, is that she smiled a lot. Like in points that didn't really warrant her to be smiling. It was almost like the smile was just breaking through. And it was almost like Amy Smart knew how ridiculous all this was and couldn't even keep a straight face. And they were just like, fuck it, leave it in. It's fine. We got through the scene.
How could you? How could you keep a straight face? How could you realistically keep a straight face while you're filming this? I mean, let's be honest.
There was something that you wanted to touch upon before Lucas got kidnapped, is when he knocked over the urn.
Oh, well, this part got to me as well because it made literally no sense. This kid Lucas makes this stupid fucking robot. It's like made of like a trash can lid. There's like wires sticking out.
Yeah,
right?
creepio.
Yeah, and it just it gets hit and it just spits something out through its mouth and knocks over Superbat's mother's urn that holds her ashes all over the floor with the pearls that were given to him.
Mommy, she's ruined.
And it's just all over the floor. And he goes to Lucas, get out. Like he's pissed. And Jean Wonder's like,
don't let your man cave become your tomb, Bruce.
I'm like, he just knocked over his dead mother's ashes all over the floor and didn't even apologize. And he's the bad guy? Superbat's the bad guy for being pissed? That honestly.
That was terrible.
I didn't even need surface level for that. That was just common sense. What the fuck? Why would that even be a thing?
But at the same time, while he's training with Master Yoga, Jean tries to enlist the help of a private eye, Lando Fury. Yes.
Only one eye.
Only one eye. Because he has a private eye. It's private. So it's Lando Fury. And she enlists his help to try to find her kids. So we cut to Rhea actually across the street from LizCorp's building. And she's trying to do like some surveillance. And then we cut to Lando Fury behind her. And Chris, you had a good point for this. I'm going to segue right into you explaining the rest of it.
Ray is looking with the binoculars and she's seeing everything going on. And she hears something behind her. And it's Lando, who has another pair of binoculars. But instead of holding them this way, he's holding them this way.
Dad's car. Lucas and that freak can't be too far. Hello?
Well, I mean, listen, he only had one eye. He had no reason to waste them horizontally. One thing I do want to touch upon is when they get Lucas into LizCorp, and his plan is to like use his dormant superpowers or whatever. He puts one of his henchmen in one door of this chamber, and he puts Lucas in the other one. And he says, after this, procedure is done, we're gonna have clown henchmen, or like pretty much like super soldiers,
super powered clown henchmen.
Yes. But the thing is, when they came out, it was literally just the guy is now wearing a mask and has a clown wig.
A glorious day. Glorious indeed.
That was it. That was the extent of the power-up. Because you'll see later on, when they get to a big fight, these guys do shit. So
it was like the Jason mask.
Yeah, so they don't. It's not like we actually see them do anything with these enhanced powers. They don't do shit. The big enhancement was a mask and wig. Along the time that we get of Bruce Kent training with Master Yoga, he brings in one of his old rivals, Beaverine, right here, which is supposed to be obviously Wolverine, and they have this rivalry and love triangle going on with Jean Wonder, which is supposed to be reminiscent of like Cyclops, Wolverine, and Jean Grey. So they have like that rivalry going on, constantly trying to one-up each other. And then as the training goes on, we get further into the movie, and Master Yoga keeps trying to show him that he can use the power of the Farce, and it's like it's real and it's useful.
And the
So then at one
Farce is
point,
strong with
he
this
just
one.
starts kicking the shit out of him.
You have nice sentiment, despite how naughty you are. It's really quite amazing, actually.
With it, why not? He starts beating up Bruce Kent, and you can't have. It must be in their contract somewhere. You can't have a wrestler in a movie without them being able to do their signature move, because of course during this beatdown we get a nice sweet chin music.
Sweet chin farce kick.
Sweet chin farce kick.
Well, the thing is that we don't just get the sweet chin farce kick. They make eye contact, and I'm sorry, not Shawn Michaels. Master Yoga does a legitimate full-out comeback on Bruce Kent. He lariats him. Bruce Kent gets up. He gets hit with a hip toss, and he's feeling it. He looks at him. He sets it up. Bam. A sweet chin farce kick. So they're eating, and he goes, "I have a gift for you." And he gives Bruce Kent what can only be described as 1980s wrestling boots. They're these bright yellow leather to the knee boots. And he gifts them to him. And Bruce Kent is very important. Bruce Kent goes, "The only thing that was ever given to me were my mother's pearls right before she passed away." And Master Yoga goes, "Don't worry. I'm not dying anytime soon." And he right there sealed his fate immediately. I mean, it was over before it even started for him.
Oh,
Because
it
not
was.
even really, because not even 3 seconds later does the dark jokester come in.
Just appears. Comes
Out of
right through
nowhere.
the door. And he's like, "We're going to fight." And it set it up as that classic Star Wars scene between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. The only difference was Shawn Michaels as Master Yoga there turns to a Bruce Kent super bat and goes, "Stop your grinning and drop your linen." And charges right at Dark Joker.
Jokester.
Done.
Jokester.
And done. Dead. Gone.
Well,
Oof.
running is a strong word, because when I
no,
saw
yeah,
it in the
More
movie,
like flailing.
he just went and just got sucked into the
No, he went.
thing, his staff. He just went poof. It looked just like how Tony Stark died, but
Everyone dies like that in this movie.
And-
dumber.
From Dark Jokester himself.
That's it? Well, that was anticlimactic.
So it's
In the-
Bruce Kent.
The worst big fight scene.
Oh, this was by far the worst fight scene I've ever seen in my entire life. It's Bruce Kent, Rhea, Thor Baka, Spider Cat,
Well, no,
And-
first. Well, yes, you're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and El Captain South America. And they're all fighting these clown henchmen that all are literally the same as the first one that came out with the hockey mask and the wig, but there's like 25 of them on each side. And they fight them with no music.
Well,
At
that's
all.
not even the worst part. So what we did skip over was that we find out Lando Fury was actually working for Lex Luthor because he is the one who took his eye, and in order to get his eye back, he had to turn on the Kents. And then at this point in the movie, he shows up again, and Superbat wants to take him out, and he's like, "Give me one reason why I shouldn't." And he turns, and that's when we see the rest of the heroes. Thor Baka,
yes.
Spider-Cat, El Captain South America. They all show up, and they all start fighting together. And Spider-Cat gives Lando either his own eye or just a random eye.
Or just AI.
Just an eye.
Just an eye. And he pops it in. And even Bruce Kent turns to him and goes,
Who are you supposed to be?
and he goes,
I'm the Furious Panther.
so he just completely switches to being a spoof on a completely different character in the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Remember how I said that the first fight scene was the worst I've ever seen? Well, then they go into the building and have the second worst fight scene I've ever seen with bigger clown soldiers with no
Still
music.
no superpowers. I had
and
no
no
superpowers.
It was the music was what got me because there's these grunts like and they're all added in post. None of them are real grunts. Yeah, but no music whatsoever.
They're smiling.
And it was just so awkward. It was so weird to not hear. Maybe it's just because I'm so used to the blockbuster action movies that have all this intense music behind it. But
You
better lower your expectations.
Interesting sound.
So we get Bruce Kent talks about how he used to be able to fly, and now he can't fly anymore. And him and Jean used to fly all the time, and they talk about flying like it's sex, which is done on purpose, obviously. But it's literally meant to be like them having sex, but it's literally just them flying. So after Bruce Kent starts using the power of the Farce, he grabs Jean. He says, "You want to fly?" She says, "Yeah." And they blast right through the roof of the building, completely bypassing Lex Luthor, who's on the roof with his sun-eating machine activated. Like, they completely ignore him just to go fly in the fake-ass background. Which then leaves the two kids to fight Dark Jokester. And you would think, like, wow, like, okay, this is the final fight of the movie with Dark Jokester. Like, how's it going to go down? And how does it go down? With one swift kick in the dick. And, as everyone else died in this movie, that's it. He just popped into smoke.
It explodes into literally nothing. And then out of nowhere, everybody else gets the idea to kick all the clown soldiers in the dick.
Hey, Cap, you gotta go for their Huevo Ranchera.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like they had comms or anything. Like, he just thought to have the idea at the exact same time, coincidentally. So Superbat and Jean Wonder land on the ground right next to his car, which is supposed to be like his Batmobile. And then they realize, oh shit, that's right, like Lex Luthor's still up there with his machine. So now that he can fly again, you would think he'd just fly up there and save the day. Instead, he grabs his own car, hucks it through the air, and it lands perfectly on the rooftop on top of Lex Luthor. Wow. Lex Luthor, who isn't even standing by his machine at this point because he's off on like the middle of the roof dancing to celebrate, but somehow the entire roof still blows up.
Yep.
So the day is saved anyway.
But that's not even the worst of it. The worst is the party scene after the fight, which has no music still.
I mean, I don't even care what kind of music you add there. Just add something in there.
It didn't even have to fit the scene. It could have just been any music. Elevator music would have been fine.
The movie does end with a scene which I guess is them trying to set up for a sequel. You find out that Lex Luthor did survive, but he might as well be in a whole body cast. And Dark Jokester also survived. And he starts to tickle Lex Luthor. And that's when we fade to black. And that's the end of the movie. So now that we have our comeback, we're also going to have a new rating system. It's no longer going to be like, B+, C-, things like that. We're just going to have 3 letters. If it's actually a really enjoyable, entertaining movie, and we recommend you watch it yourself, then we give it an A. If it is exactly what it's meant to be, a bad, bullshit movie, then it's a B. B, right over there. And, that's if it's the bottom of the barrel. But if you break through the bottom of the barrel and your hand goes into this like goop of just shit and guts and just ugh, that's going to be an F. That means that this movie, whether it's bad or not, should have never even been made. And please do your best to avoid it at all costs. So, Chris, you're the newbie here. We'll start with you.
It's going to get a B, a fat B, because it sucked. But it wasn't quite bad that it broke through the bottom of the barrel, but it stayed relatively in the middle of the barrel. So it's a B for me.
All right. Matt, how about you?
I'm going to give it a B also for a bad movie.
There you go. So, I actually was very surprised when like I said earlier, then I saw what kind of talent was in this movie. But I was disappointed by the end. Like, I thought, like, I knew what they were going for. It was supposed to be random and stupid and goofy or whatever, but I feel like that kind of movie has been done better in the past. Like, this, you knew what it wanted to be, but I feel like it just still didn't hit the mark. So it is going to get a B from me, too. So B's all around.
Deservingly.
So that's our review on Avengers of Justice, Farce Wars. But we are going to use a premise of this movie to segue into our next review, because Lex Luthor wanted to drain the sun of its power to plunge the Earth into another ice age. Well, let's just say this next movie would kind of be like what would happen if he succeeded, because we're checking out 2012 Ice Age. That should be a doozy. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you watch this movie, put it in the comments below. Let us know what you think of it and what rating you would give it. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, I'm Anthony.
Matt?
Master Yoga.
And we'll see you next time. Later.